Welcome back to the ULH podcast. I'm your host, Michael AH, and welcome back. And welcome if this is your first time. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you don't like the video, dislike it. That's okay. If you don't like the video, that's all right. Actually, if you don't like the video, you should still like it. You should still like it, because then I'll know. Because then if you comment, I'll see it. And you should still comment anyway if you don't like the video. You should just put a little comment, hey, I hate this podcast or something or whatever. Welcome. Today's a little bit of a different episode. We're actually, this is a full episode. It's going to be a business tips episode. I actually didn't even think I was going to record this today. But just out of nowhere, I've decided to record this. So I might as well record it now, I thought. Since I have some time, it's probably going to be a shorter episode. Might not be the same length as some of the other episodes, but I figured we'd throw this in here. So if you don't know anything about me, I am the founder and CEO of Urban Line Hub and Project Testimony. And I am the one who built our website and the entire company, basically. Everything that you see from Urban Line Hub, I'm responsible for. Not to toot my own horn or to say anything great. And mind you, we're not Nike or Amazon. We're not like the biggest thing in the world. But I think that there are a lot of people at my level or below who, and when I say that, it sounds so it sounds so icky to say, but what I mean is there's a lot of people who have just started a business who maybe don't know anything about starting a business. Maybe they've debated about starting a business and they want to know how it kind of goes. That's what this podcast is for, is to give my experience and also kind of just help you and give you any tips, tricks, and stuff that I've learned from starting a business. I say this all the time. I'm a nobody who's trying to do something and trying to start something. And if you feel like you're a nobody just trying to do something, you want to start something, you want to create something, then this is the podcast episode for you. So we're going to start it a little bit differently. Before I start, I want to tell you about urbanlinehub.ca. Go check it out right now. You can find out everything that Urban Line Hub is doing and everything that we have to offer, as well as merch, apparel, articles, blogs, content, so much more. We have business services to help you grow and establish and maintain your business. We also have the ULH network, which is a network of innovators, creators, entrepreneurs, musicians, and so much more, connecting from all over the world, connecting together and helping by offering resources, tips, tricks, and networking to help you grow your business and your dreams and passions. So let's dive right in. So I'll talk a little bit about first my experience starting a business. And I have a very interesting, if you don't know, I have an education in business. Mind you, it's not like some fancy MBA or anything like that, but I am currently going to school for business, and I've learned a few things, and I wanted to pass that off to you guys and to help you guys. Maybe you can't afford any type of education in business, or maybe you don't have the time. Maybe you've got 15 kids and you're busy. You know what I mean? So I thought that this would be a perfect opportunity to come speak to you guys about this. But my experience was a little bit different. I actually had no clue I was going to start a business. And I knew I always wanted to start a business. And in high school, I took business classes. I don't think I took them all the way through. But I did take some business classes in high school, and I also took business classes outside of school to kind of learn what it's like to start a business. I was always very fascinated in people who had businesses and how they got there and how they started their business. I was always very interested in starting a business and the process of it, and just everything that was entailed and went into having and starting a business. And I was in school for business, and there was some social event or whatever, and this is during COVID, of course. So this was my first or second year in business. We just finished, I think, the second semester, so it was the ending of my first year, and there was this opportunity for a business workshop where they were literally going to help you start a business and give you resources and everything like that to start a business. And basically the workshop was either to get you to just about the point to start a business, or to get you to past that point. It's kind of where the idea for the ULH network came from, where we help people start businesses, or even grow their business. So I signed up for it, and it was a limited thing. Not everybody who signed up got to do it, and I think there was a lot of, like, they had a lot of signups. I know I had a few friends who signed up and didn't get in, and there was a bunch of different factors, including your grades and stuff like that, as to who got to be a part of it. And I was lucky enough. I had really good grades, so I was able to. I had good grades, everything but math. If you know me, that's just my life story. Every math class has never been my thing. From all the way from elementary school, I've always been failing math. That's just my thing. And I hate math. Like, I literally hate math. Another reason why I shouldn't have a business, but I do. So if you feel like you shouldn't have a business, you know what I mean? Then, there's no limits. There's no limits. Like, I talked to somebody the other day. They were like, oh, I don't have the finances to start a business. I was like, no, I didn't have any money. Like, I had no money. I had $0 to my name. So you can start a business with no money. And not only can you start a business with no money, I have the testimony, I say this all the time, of not only starting a business with no money, but starting a business with no money and no experience, and I continue to run the business debt free. So we are not in debt as a business, and that's another thing that I offer a lot of my clients with my advisory service. Now, debt can be very useful. Don't get me wrong. If you speak to any big business people, they'll tell you debt is amazing. Credit is amazing, but at the same time, when you're early on, you don't want to sink your business. And if you're not making as many sales as maybe you need to recover from the debt that you're incurring, then you want to keep your debt. Of course, you always want to keep your debt lower than your revenue. So anyway, I got the opportunity to be a part of that, the amazing initiative that they were doing, and through it, we were able to start a business. So basically, they led us through the whole process, and we got to the part where we were just about to start our website. And I think out of everybody that did that, and I don't remember how many people were there. I just know that out of the people, I think it was like 400 people who signed up, and there was only maybe under 20. I think possibly under 40, but I think it was under 20 people who were there. And I think I might be the only one. I'm not 100% sure. I'm really not in contact with everybody from there, but I think I might be the only one who actually continued and actually started and launched my business and have continued 2 years, 3 years later with the business. And yeah, it wasn't not that it was easy or not, and even if I think sometimes too, you just need a push. And for me, I just needed a push, and I got it started. And there's nothing, I say this to people all the time, you're gonna regret not starting. There's nothing wrong with starting. Even if you fail, it's just a success. You know what I mean? Like, failing is just meaning that you tried, and that's a success at trying, right? So I feel like there's no reason not to. So I launched a business. And I will never forget my first month in. So there was so much work. It was a few weeks of workshops, and it was all day, every single day. So at the same time, I was lucky enough I didn't have any lectures the 2 weeks that we were doing it, but I had to jump out of it. So we started at 8 a.m. We'd finish at 6 p.m. And then after 6 p.m., I'd maybe take half an hour, and then I'd be doing all my work, my homework and stuff like that from 6 p.m. to 2 a.m. And then I'd sleep and get up, and I'd be up at 6 a.m. to start doing, because we had a whole bunch of prep and stuff that we had to do every single day. So I'd wake up sometimes 6, sometimes 5, sometimes 4. There was a few days I didn't sleep, so that I could get all the stuff done. And then we jump in 8 a.m. right into the workshops, right into the lectures and stuff. And it was a bunch of professors from the college who were business, either they had businesses or they were a business professor. And there was a bunch of different things. We did so many different things about product design, target marketing, defining your target market, revenue and profits, and profit margins, determining cost, finding manufacturers for your different products and stuff, different resources and services, utilizing social media advertising and marketing. and a whole bunch of things. And mind you, it served as the foundation for what we used when we were planning to build the ULH network, and we were trying to determine what is a company we want to offer to our members. And that was the foundation, as we looked at what I needed, what I utilized, what was beneficial for me and others from that workshop, and we utilized a lot of that. And so shout out to Algonquin College for that. And so anyway, we then we did a whole bunch of work and stuff like that. So after the workshops, it took 4 months, and 4 months later, we launched Urban Line Hub. And I remember launching, and I remember getting to the launch. I remember going up to the launch maybe about a month prior, and I remember saying to myself, "Just got to get to the launch. Just got to get to the launch," as if launching meant no more work, as if launching meant that I could chill out now. And ever since launching the business, it's been every single day, all day, every single day, throughout the day, whether I'm at another job or doing whatever, in school or whatever it is, I'm running this company. So it's been a constant effort. It's been a constant work, and it'll always be one. And that's the one thing that's really exciting to me. So we launched, and I remember that week because I was like, okay, finally. And then I was like, wait a minute. How do you get people to go to the website? Oh, you have to advertise, and the advertising is what takes the most of your time, especially as an entrepreneur. The next day we were going door to door, handing out flyers, going in different neighborhoods. We walked through the whole city, going to so many neighborhoods, and literally just door to door, talking to people. Anybody that we got the chance to speak to, we spoke to. And me and my fiance, at the time she was just my girlfriend, and we drove to cities 3, 4, 5 cities over and handed out flyers. And it was the dead of winter because we launched in December 5th 2021. And it was not only was it the dead of winter, but it was the dead of COVID too. And I think we were in a lockdown, so we were just breaking every rule. We were just doing everything you weren't supposed to be doing. And we went around. And back then, I remember I remember the last flyer run I did. It was just so nice because we didn't have masks or anything on. But I remember when we launched, we had to have I remember calling. I called a bunch of health places, and I called a hospital to find out what was okay to wear, because we were in the midst of a lockdown, if I'm remembering correctly. I feel like we were, and we were wearing gloves. We were wearing 2 sets of masks and everything. It's freezing, and I think there was a big snowstorm. I could be wrong about that, but I do remember there was a lot of snow on the ground. And we were going door to door. And I'm trudging through this snow. And mind you, neither me or my girlfriend drove. So I had to have somebody drive us to neighborhoods, drop us off, and then we would just go door to door. And it was because it was snowing at the time, and the flyers, of course, were paper. We had to have these Ziploc bags that we put the flyers in so that they would stay wet, they would stay warm, dry. And then we went door to door. And mind you, try to talk to somebody in the midst of a pandemic, in the middle of winter, while they're trying to shovel their snow. People were not happy. We got threatened. I got spit on. It was fun. It was a fun experience. And we went door to door, and then we went to Toronto, and we went on the street and just handing out flyers and everything. We started a Instagram, and I think at the time we only had Instagram, and we were just advertising and just going just really just every day, just trying to get numbers up, trying to get people to visit the website and everything like that. And I remember seeing the numbers, and at first it was 1 or 2 people, then it was 3, and then it got to the point where, because of social media, people in different countries were looking at our website. And I remember the first country, which they don't see anything in this country anymore from our website. I don't know how we were a threat. We were a very small business, so don't know how we were a threat. But the first other country that anybody viewed our website from was Russia. And I remember that because I want to say the Ukrainian war. No, I don't think it had begun yet. It might have begun. I'm not sure. I don't think it had. I think it began a few months later. But I remember there was I was like, ooh, Russia. I was like, who's gonna place an order from Russia? And one of our first international orders was from Russia. And I remember the reason I remember this is because it was a few months later that we posted solidarity with Ukraine. And we posted that, and all of a sudden we're getting like these alerts on Instagram that, oh, your content is now banned in Russia. And we still get those. I post a video or something for Urban Line Hub, and we get this pop up that says your content is banned for copyright reasons, or for this or for that. And it's always just Russia. It's always just Russia is the place that it's banned from. Never anywhere else. So it's not like it's real copyright issues that is banning us from the United States, Canada, and just social media in general. No, it's always just Russia. So I don't know why. Especially if we use any audio that's from anyway from North America or something like that, they're like, oh no, banned. And then we got emails and stuff, and I got website alerts telling us that we were banned in Russia. So we don't get views from Russia anymore, but we used to. And I remember that was the first other country. I think the other one was Poland, and it was weird. Sorry, the crackheads are going crazy outside. If you don't know, I live in a building with a bunch of crackheads, and they do weird crackhead stuff outside, and right now they're quite busy, which is odd because the sun is out. Usually when the sun's out, the crackheads are under their rocks. They usually don't come out until the sun is gone. And when the sun's gone, oh Lord, do they get busy. But anyway, yeah. So that was the beginning of my experience, and then it was every weekend. I remember we would go hand out flyers. We still hand out flyers. And I remember I would tell people, oh, I'm going to hand out flyers for my business, and they'd laugh at me. And the people would be like, flyers? Who does flyers? Like, are you stupid? How do you think that you advertise a business that has never existed before? You do everything that you can do, whether that's handing out flyers or handing out anything else. You do every single thing you can do. That's what you do when you're launching a business that's never existed before. So that's what we were doing. And it was an interesting experience. And of course, some people treated it like we were trying to sell them crack, and other people, tried to ask if we had crack. And we went. And my only tip for that is do some research on the neighborhoods you go into, because we went into some suspect neighborhoods that, looking back at it, might not have been the safest of places. I was threatened at one point. Somebody pulled out a knife. And I would go to a few doors, and then my fiance, my girlfriend at the time, would go across the street, and she'd go door to door to door. And we had rules like, okay, if somebody had a sign like no soliciting or anything like that, we wouldn't leave a flyer. We would knock on the door first. If they didn't answer, we'd leave the flyer and we'd go. If they did answer, we would try to talk to them about it. And if they didn't listen or weren't interested, we would still try to leave a flyer with them. And then if some people would slam the door in our face, and we'd just put the flyer in their door. And we would just go door to door. And the good thing is even if you piss people off, if they still take the flyer, they're going to look up the website. And they still did. And so our views were going up, regardless of if people were happy or not. The views are going up. So it was just an incentive. And the views are favorable, because the more people that click on your website, the more people who check out your website, the higher you go on the list. So when we launched our website, if you searched up Urban Line Hub, though we were the only Urban Line Hub, you would get all these other results. And we were on like the 15th page. And I remember clicking through Google to see what page we were on. And we were on the 15th or the 16th page. And we were at the bottom, like all the way at the bottom. I'm like, we're literally the name Urban Line Hub. So even if you searched up Urban Line Hub or you searched up urbanlinehub.ca, you would not be taken to our website. Now, if you search up urbanlinehub.ca, you'll be taken to our website. Not only will you be taken to our website if you search up urbanlinehub.ca, but if you search up Urban Line Hub, we are the top results. And I think even our social medias now are the top results. What people don't know is that takes work. You don't just get there. We didn't just launch and get there. It took ads. It took purchasing of ads and advertising, and it takes social media. It takes consistency. It takes a lot of work. It was a lot behind it that goes into that, and to getting from the 16th page at the bottom to getting to the first result. And it's not like we're the only thing that pops up. I think if you search up Urban Line Hub, we're like the first 3 things or the first 4 things, and then after that it might be foolishness. I think right now you'll see our website and all of the things. And that's another thing people don't know, is you'd only see, like before, when we first started popping up on the first page, you just see Urban Line Hub. You just see the home page. Now you see like our collections, and like if you search it up, there's a bunch of different things. I might try to put a little clip in here. I'm going to be editing this episode myself, so I may be too lazy to do that. But I'll try to put a little clip, a little picture in here, right here, so that you can see what pops up. So on Instagram, our Instagram will pop up. It's like the second or the third, and then Twitter will pop up either the second or the third. Then some pictures from our social media and stuff like that, and then you'll find pictures of us in images. That took work. When we started, we were number 16 at the bottom, the 16th page, sorry, at the bottom. And we might have been the 15th, and all the way at the bottom, and all you would see is the homepage. And for one, we didn't know anything about SEO. We didn't know anything about descriptions or nothing, and how that worked, and how to optimize your website for search engines. And so we were just idiots, and just trying to do like something, as nobody's trying to do something. And it took a lot of research, of course, and it took a lot of learning, and it took a lot of time. And because I was still in the midst of pre-business, I was learning how to do all of these things. And it just worked out. It just worked out that I was learning the things I needed at the times I needed them. And I was able to just keep pursuing, just keep pushing, keep pressing in. And shortly after that, we learned project management and everything else, which is essential for how we did a bunch of different stuff. So it was just crazy. So that's one thing that nobody knows. And people like they say all the time. Some people say like, your business never has gone viral, and they go like, you guys haven't gone viral. And I was like, yeah, and I know that. And your point being, and they're like, well, how do you know it's worth it? And it's all in the insights. Like, I track our insights consistently, and I've done so since we've launched the business. And the one thing I can say is that our general insights across all platforms, whether it be, when I say all platforms, I mean like across all of our social media accounts and across our website. If you put them all together, our general company-wide insights have gone up, and they continue to go up. And that's one of the ways that you can stay focused during all the discouragement. And that's one thing that I know that I and a lot of other entrepreneurs have faced. If you're not like Kevin O'Leary, even if you speak to, like, I've watched interviews with Kevin O'Leary and a bunch of successful business people, successful entrepreneurs, successful investors, and they talk about how you'll get discouragement. So you just have to learn how to not listen to other people because they're idiots and they don't know what they're talking about. I talked about that a few weeks ago on the podcast. I don't know if that episode's out yet. If it's not, then when it comes out, pay attention for that one, because you just can't listen to anybody else. And the one thing that keeps me motivated is looking at the insights and seeing whether they're green. And sometimes, some months, it's just 2%. But I also, like, my big thing is there are some weeks that the website has the minimal amount of views. Maybe we have 1 or 2 views throughout the week, sometimes 0. But I also, I go to the mall sometimes, and I there was a few weeks in the beginning of the business that I went to the mall every day to see different stores and to get inspiration, to get ideas, to get motivation. And there was a few stores that I know when they have a sale, they sell out. But I watched, and I would sit and I'd have a cup of coffee and I'd look at the store, and nobody walked in. And I remember an entire week, nobody walked into that store, and I was there all day, every day. Mind you, this is the dead center of COVID. We're in a lockdown. Everywhere shut down. The mall was open, but it wasn't open. It wasn't open all day. It was open till like 5 p.m. or 4 p.m. or something like that. It was open till a weird time. And I would go early in the morning, and I would do my work, and I would, run the company from the coffee shop. And I would look at the stores around the coffee shop, and there was a few that had a lot of people coming in and out, but there was 1 or 2 that had nobody. And I thought, well, they don't shut down their entire company because they have nobody. But you'd see them put up signs, or they would change the way that the things were in the windows and stuff. And then the next week or a few days later, somebody's coming in. And I looked at those things and I said, okay, so that's something that I have to be prepared for. As an entrepreneur, as a small business owner, I have to be prepared for the weeks that nobody comes in. And I have to be prepared to do the things that it takes to get that one person in the store that brings that next person. And that's a lot of the time what you'll see is there's some people who nothing else interests them but the fact that other people are going into your store. So that was one of the biggest things. And that to me is why insights matter, because insights are basically you watching at who's coming in, right? And The good thing about our company and the good thing about being a small business is you are flexible. Like, you're not solidified. You're flexible. We're able to change things around. So the general insights are beneficial for us. When we look at the insights across all platforms and we look at the fact that everything's going up, whether it's by 2, whether it's by 3, that the general company-wide insights are going up, it means that we have potential. And potential is one of the greatest things you can have as a business, as an entrepreneur, and as a small business for sure. Potential is essential. So that's one of my biggest tips to you is insights. They matter. And they're very important because you need to know how people are interacting with your store. You need to know how both consumers and potential consumers are interacting with your store. And consumers are the people who are already consuming your product. And potential consumer, now of course there's general consumers, which is like everybody that you're advertising to is a general consumer. They're people who could potentially consume your product or your service. But then you have specifically, if you break it down in relation to your specific company, you have your consumers who are already consuming, and then you have potential consumers, people who may or may not consume your product and or service. And when you can track how potential consumers and how current consumers interact with your platforms, interact with your accounts, interact with your website, interact with your specific content and or products, that's important. That's how we decide what new designs we're doing. We look at the designs where they have the most interest. And I remember launching, and we had the most views on a product we had were 5. And then the next few months later, we came out with new designs, and we used the design of the product that was getting 5 views a month. We used that one to as the foundation and the idea and the inspiration and the motivation for the next line of products that we came out with. And then there was 1 or 2 products there that had like maybe 6 views a month or 6 views. Oh, I'm just trying to think about it. I just remember the number, and it was like 6 views. And then we used that one as the inspiration for the next line. And then we had products that were getting 10 or 15 or 20 or 40 or 50 or 60 views. And it didn't just get there though. It's a process, and the way that you're able to determine and do the process, go through the journey, is your insights. Insights are the thing that tell you where to go and where you're going. Insights are how you steer the ship. That's really like how you have to think about it. Insights are how you steer the ship. Without insights, you're not going to know which direction to go to. Insights are like, think about think about a giant ship. Think about the Titanic. If the Titanic had somebody who was paying attention at the top, they might have not crashed. But because they couldn't see, and there's a bunch of different factors that were in play, of course, they didn't see the iceberg in front of them. That's the same thing with your insights. When you're not looking at your insights as a company, as a business, as anybody, as a creator, as an entrepreneur, as an innovator, you're not learning which ways and directions you should go. Now, let me tell you something too. Insights can only track what you have available, what is trackable. So there are some things for your company, like we were not tracking insights for the ULH network because we didn't have the ULH network when we launched. We were not tracking insights for the ULH podcast because we didn't have the ULH podcast when we launched. We had these things later. So insights don't mean that that's the only way you do things, but it is definitely the foundation for a lot of things. And I say this all the time to my clients and to network members, that you cannot build a house without a foundation. You have to lay the foundation. No one builds a house from the roof down, because if you tried that, the house would keep collapsing. You build a house by building the foundation first. So your insights are the foundation for your business. You need things that are trackable. And that's another thing, is if you're launching things that aren't trackable, that aren't going to give you insights, that aren't going to give you reviews of your company, then you're not able to really determine next steps or how to steer a little bit. And there are some things, of course, that we do that the current insights cannot determine. Again, when we launched, we didn't have the ULH network, so there were some things that our insights were telling us that it didn't determine things for the ULH network. But at the same time, those insights for other things helped us steer the ULH network, helped us steer the podcast. And One of the big things that we realized is insights this showed us that if we fell off on our consistency, that insights dropped. So one thing that we determined to do with this podcast was to have a cache of episodes. So we started recording this podcast a month in advance from the launch date. We determined a launch date and we started recording the podcast early. That way we could have a bunch of episodes ready to be posted. So that way that when we launch the podcast, if some crisis or situation happens that stops us from being able to record 1 week, we're not going to not have an episode. And it's one way that we were able to determine in advance consistency and already have a structure for consistency. Insights also help you determine the structure and the format for your company, for your current operations, and for your future operations. It's one of the most essential ways that you can determine how to structure your company. It's also one of the essential ways that you can figure out how your social media can continue to grow. When we launched Project Testimony a year prior. So when COVID first started, I launched a business called Project Testimony. We have relaunched Project Testimony now differently, better branding and everything else. That's another thing that's so essential to your business is branding. And we have relaunched Project Testimony now. But when we first launched Project Testimony, we actually used for Urban Line Hub the same social media account on Instagram that we had used originally for Project Testimony. We launched Project Testimony, and about a year later, we had no followers still. The followers that we had gained by the time I decided I was done with Project Testimony and before I had decided to do Urban Line Hub was 10. 10 followers. It took us a year to get 10 followers. Now, at this current time while we're recording this, we have 230 followers. The people look at that, and some people literally tell me, and when you're an entrepreneur, people have no business to tell you anything, but yet they feel like they have business to tell you things, and they will come out of their way to tell you what they perceive. And people tell me all the time, you only have 230 followers. You're not famous. You don't have 3,000 followers. You don't have 50,000 followers. You don't have 70,000 followers. You don't have 152,000 followers. You don't have 3 million followers. But we have 230, and we got there because of a process. It didn't just happen. It didn't just show up. People didn't just start following us. We used our insights to determine how we continue to do our social media, how we run our social media. What does better? Why is it doing better? How do we determine that? We look at the insights and we track them. That's the other thing, is tracking your insights. Looking at certain posts and going, okay, this post did well, but was it just the day? Was it the hashtags? Was it the caption? Was it the time? Was it this? So then we track it. Okay, this post did well, and this post is very similar to that post. The only difference is we posted it at a different time. It didn't do as well. Or this post did well, and this was the format of the content, and this post didn't do well. Same time, same caption, same hashtags, yet the content itself was different. We were able to determine how to keep going and how we keep going forward. That's one of the most essential things for you and your business, is looking at your insights and tracking them and determining how do you go forward, how do you step forward in this, how does this thing go, when you launch this next thing, how do you do it. We would have never learned the consistency thing if we didn't track the insights and realize that when we're consistent, the insights go up. When we're not consistent, insights go down. And that might sound so simple to you. You may hear that and go, that makes sense. But when you are a person who is nobody, who knows nothing, starting something, you're not going to know that. That's not something that you're going to realize. Or maybe you do know it, but you don't really grasp it and how it works. And back then we had somebody who was managing the social media who wasn't always consistent, and that helped us determine, okay, listen, you need to be consistent. If you're not going to be consistent, you're no longer going to work here. And they weren't consistent. They no longer work at Urban Line Hub. And that's the reason, because we looked at the insights, we determined that we need the consistency, and they couldn't handle that. They couldn't keep up. They couldn't be consistent. Now we have someone overseeing the social media who knows how to be consistent and knows how to manage that. Our insights are what told us. We have a trick that we use, and I tell this to my network members, how you can keep your content on your Instagram, not only ensure that people who follow you see you, but people who don't follow you see you. And that's by utilizing the story. And we figured out how to properly utilize our story, and we saw our insights rise. And now our insights are like 300% higher than they ever have been. And the reason is because of how we utilize the story. And the reason that we were able to figure out how to utilize the story was tracking our insights, was looking at our insights, determining our insights, and determining how we're going to ensure that we keep this going and we keep insights going up. And of course, there are some weeks that insights go down. And that's why tracking your insights matter, because you may see a week that things go down and you may think the company's over. And then you look at the next month and you look at the insights for April and you realize, oh, even though 2 weeks in April things went down, overall things have gone up. So it's important to track your insights. It's also important to track your insights, comparatively. Not only should you track your general insights across the board, but you should track them individually as well. What are the website insights? What are my product insights? Insights for everything. You have insights for everything. You have trackable data for every single thing that you do. That's the great thing about having a digital-based company. Is that you can track everything. You have a brick and mortar location, you can still track everything. And I tell this to some of my small business clients, and some of our small mom and pop shop members, that even though you're a brick and mortar store, you may not have all these digital means. You can track, okay, we put a nice sign up in the window, and that was the week we had people coming in throughout the day into the store. We had nothing in the window and nobody came in this week. That's an insight. That gives you a look into your own company and how it's operating and running. That gives you a look into how your company is being perceived and looked at from the outside. That gives you a look at how people are interacting with your company. So insights are essential. If you walk away with any knowledge from this podcast, you should walk away with the knowledge that insights are the most important thing that for your company. They determine so much. And mind you, if you're looking for an investor, I tell this to my clients who are looking for investors, your insights is what they want to see. They want the numbers. They want the statistics. They want the stats. They want to know how consumers and potential consumers are interacting with your company. Because even if your numbers are low, get this, even if your numbers are low, if the insights are right, they'll still invest in your company, because some of the time, the reason your numbers are low is because you're not scaling. And insights determine scalability. They let investors know, and they let you know as the CEO of your company, that whether your company is scalable or not, whether it is scaling or not, whether it's going up, going down, or not moving. Right? So, and then that's the other thing is if you have the means to track your insights, and the great thing about having a social media account is they already do that, and they already give you that feedback. And if you start your website the way that we did, and if you manage your website the way that we do, you get those insights directly to you. You get those insights straight to you. You don't have to go look for them. They show you whether your company is scaling at all, whether you're rising up or not. And if you have those means and you're not getting insights, you're not having any insights, no numbers, whether up or down, red or green, then that's a problem. Like, that's not a company that is investable. Investors, the biggest thing that an investor is looking for is scalability. Whether your company can in any way, shape, or form scale, because that's where the profit is. It's not just in the fact that you have something. It's how can this thing grow? Can this thing grow at all? Can I franchise this, or can I launch multiple locations? Or if we launch in the right city in the right neighborhood, are we going to see the numbers go up? Are we going to see 1,000 people come in? Are we going to see 10 people come in? So all of that gives you a look into your company. And another thing is, when you track your insights when it comes to social media, and you can figure out why people aren't following you. Maybe you like this is people don't know what goes into starting a business. Some people have no clue that all of this is how you run a business, because that's another thing. People start a business and that's all they think about, but you have to run it. I know so many people that during COVID started a business, and I can tell you I was neck and neck with people who started a business at the same time, who I at the time perceived their business was better than my business, and yet we're still around and they're not. And I'm not saying that we've been around for 50 years, but even in a year and 2 years, I've seen businesses collapse that should still be here, right? So again, but I asked them, I say, were you tracking your insights? They go, what's that? That's why they're not around. That's why they're not around. Because the other thing about entrepreneurship and about a startup company and starting a company that never existed before is you can get demotivated so easily. You can get discouraged so easily. Tracking your insights is the way that you're able to, as an entrepreneur, get confirmation whether you should keep going or not. And that's one of the biggest things for me. When people tell me, people call me all the time. I have horrible family. I'll be very honest. I have really crappy family. I don't know about you guys, but I have some crappy family. Not all of my family. Shout out to the good members of my family that are sweet and that are kind people, that are loving, that are nurturing. Not many of them. But they call me all the time and try to discourage me, tell me I'm an idiot for starting a business, and oh, you're not viral, I don't see you on my social media, you're 90,000, of course you don't see me on your social media, you're not my target audience. But they come out of their way. But when I look at the insights, I go, okay, it doesn't matter what they're saying, because a year ago our insights were 0, and now they're not. A month ago our insights were down, now they're not. They're going up. So that's the way that you're able to really get that motivation in the morning. When there's nothing else motivating you, your insights can motivate you. Just like if you're an investor and you're investing into a company, if you're not looking at the stock market and seeing whether it's going up or down, you don't know whether to pull your money out or put your money in. The biggest thing when it comes to utilizing finance is trackability. You track the stock market, you track your investment, you track the investment before you even invest. Only idiots invest in stocks just because some guru told them to. No, most investors are looking at the insights. They're looking at the stock market. They're looking at the numbers. They're looking whether it's going up or down, and they're looking at why it's going up and down. They're determining that through the insights that company's offering to them, that the stock market's offering to them, that the general market is offering to them. And that's the way that you are able to run a company. That's the way that you're able to grow a company. That's the way you're able to start a company and start from nowhere, start from scratch, and keep going. Is your insights. It's like what chef makes and think of Hell's Kitchen. Some of these restaurants that existed, they're clearly not tracking their insights. That's why they're shut down. That's why they don't realize that, oh, nobody likes the food and they're just offering the same thing. I talk to so many businesses, so many clients, so many entrepreneurs. I talk to them and I say, what's the one thing you're struggling with? They're like, well, I don't know why people aren't coming in. And I'm like, do you track when people come in? And they're like, why would I track when people come in? And I said, well, you don't know whether it's what you're offering or how you're offering it. And you will only determine that is if you have insights and if you track those insights. Because it might not be that your product or your service is crappy. It may be that you're not advertising it correctly. It may be that your marketing is crappy. Or maybe you're marketing everything correctly, but people just don't like what you're offering. And that's why. You don't determine that because you're not tracking it, because you're not looking at it. It's the same thing like your grades in school. Your grades told you whether you were going to fail or pass way before you got that final grade. And that helped you determine if you were showing up, if you weren't showing up, what assignments you were really putting the full effort into, what assignments you weren't putting the full effort into. All of these things were important. And the fact that people know this, like you know this because this has been life, and this is life. If you are in general society, this is life. Life has to be tracked. Like, you track things all the time. Your doctor tracks your health. You know what I mean? And yet people don't realize that you have to track your business. Like when I tell people, they ask me all the time, they're like, well, your business is there, your website's there. What are you running? And they're like, you're not worldwide. You're not global. For one, we are global because the internet is global, you fool. And our website is globally available. Our products are globally available. Like, that's the other thing. And the other thing is, like, you have to know that not everybody sees everything. And like some people hear that and they're like, what do you mean? Our company, just like I just said, some people have literally said that to me. They're like, you're not worldwide. And I'm like, you're an idiot, because for one, I worked very hard on making sure that our products were available worldwide, that we have manufacturers in different continents, so that if you are in England and you order a shirt from our service, our website, that you're going to get it as quickly as possible to you, because it's going to be manufactured in a European manufacturing plant, and it's going to show up to you from the European manufacturing plant, and it's going to get to you through a European shipping company or a company that is internationally available. You know, you're not going to get it from a Canadian manufacturing plant with a Canadian shipping company, because then you're going to get it 15 years late. You know what I mean? So this is the thing. This is the thing and people don't see that, though. They don't know that I had to call companies and sit on the phone, and I had to sit in meetings, and I had to talk to representatives from companies to figure out, and I had to, deal with manufacturers, and I had to visit manufacturers, and I had to visit shipping companies and everything else to determine which companies we'd use and which companies we wouldn't use. And you know what I mean? It wasn't just a Google search. It wasn't just like I typed it into the internet or just launched a website. There was designing of products, meeting with designers, meeting with manufacturers, meeting with companies to figure out like quality and everything else. I had to meet with consultants to determine whether certain products were good enough or not. And I had to meet with consultants to determine the quality of products, to determine whether, okay, is this fabric really eco-friendly, and is this fabric good for people's skin? I didn't want to have baby products available that are using harmful chemicals that could cause cancer. So I had to meet with consultants that knew the industry, that knew products, that knew the materials in products, and could say, okay, yeah, this product list you don't want to use this manufacturer. Like, that was months and months and months of work. That was day in and day out of work that nobody will ever see or know about. You know what I mean? So that's something you have to be prepared for. And this is why, again, it comes back down to insights, because nobody's going to pat you on the back and say, good job. You're going to look at your insights, and your insights are going to tell you whether that was a good job, whether that was worth it, or whether it wasn't. And that's one of the most essential things for entrepreneurs, young entrepreneurs, small businesses, mom and pop shops, and new business people, and people who have never been in business before, to understand. Insights are your steering wheel. No one's jumping in the seat of their car, except for people on social media, jumping in the seat of their car with no wheel there. You're not driving your car with a straw. Okay? You're driving your car with a wheel. Why are you trying to drive your company with a shoe? Drive your company with a wheel. Drive your company with your insights. Learn how to run your company through your insights. You don't know how to run a business? Look at your insights. They'll tell you, because the market never stops speaking. The consumers never stop talking. Money never stops talking. All of these things talk constantly. You just have to monitor it. You just have to open your eyes and look at it. You just have to see it. And you can't do that if you're not monitoring your insights. You can't do that if you're not keeping track of your company and keeping track of how your company is being interacted with. It's essential for you to monitor your insights, to track your insights, to look at your insights. So if there's anything you're going to walk away from this podcast with, it's insights. And not only are you tracking your insights, people have to understand this. There's general insights that are across the board, that are everything from your website to your brick and mortar location to all your social media accounts. It's everything combined, and it's the insights of the company entirely, or the brand entirely. Then there's also individual insights. There's the insights for your TikTok. There's the insights for your Instagram. There's the insights for your Twitter. There's the insights for your website and for your brick and mortar location. Your insights tell you which out of those several platforms you're pouring into and you're not pouring into. Because if you're pouring into Twitter and you get 6 views a month on Twitter, but on TikTok you post once a week and you get 5,000 views, then you should be pouring into your TikTok and not your Twitter, and let your TikTok filter down. I tell this to my clients all the time. You don't need to create specific content for every single platform. You can create trickle down platforming. You can trickle down content. The content that you post that is made specifically really for the platform that has the best insights, and it trickles down to the other platforms, and you still get more views on those platforms, but the one that you need to be getting the most views on, you're getting. So it's one of the biggest and most essential things for you to understand is that you need to track your insights. You need to have trackable insights, and you need to have insights in general, and you need to track all the different insights and everything else. And that's the one biggest thing I can tell you, is that if you're not tracking your insights, you're wasting your time, because you're not going to know anything. You're flying by the seat of your pants if you're not tracking your insights. And you don't want to run a company flying by the seat of your pants. And listen, I'm a very spontaneous person. There are some weeks that as a company we're flying by the seat of our pants. But one thing that is always true is that we're always tracking our insights. And that's the reason that it's 2 years later and we're still here. And now listen, when I say there was a lot of people I know that started companies, I mean like was at least at the same time we launched, at least from people that I know, people in my life, there was at least 20 companies started, and we are the only one out of the 20 I'm thinking of that still exists. None of those other ones exist anymore. And I speak to those people, and it's not a diss onto them. Listen, it's hard out here. It's not easy, and you may start a company and think it's going to do well, and it may not do well. But the one thing they all tell me is that they never tracked their insights. They never even realized that that was important, because some of them would still be here if they were tracking their insights. Because I'm telling you, while there's people in my life and people outside of the company that may look at our company and go, "You shouldn't be around still," if they looked at our insights, they'd sing a different song. Because insights are the cold, hard facts. They're the cold, hard numbers, and the numbers are what's important. The numbers are what's leading you. The numbers are what's determining what to go forward. The numbers are what's showing you like where the door is. Like they're showing you where the table is and whether you're sitting at it or not. So one of the most essential, most important things is one of the things that in business, in school, we've spent the most time on. We spent the most time learning about numbers and learning about their insights. And it's the people who didn't get that. I know a few people, a few family members, one of my cousins who took business, went to college and took business, and they said that they walked away with nothing. And I was like, well, did you learn how to determine your insights and how to follow those? Did you learn about target marketing? And they said, oh, those terms and things don't matter. Well, that's why they don't have a company. And that's why their company that they did start lasted 2 minutes. Because the numbers matter, honey. And so do the insights. They're very important. They're very important. So you could be offering the worst product and the worst service, and you can determine that through your insights, and then determine how to offer the best product and the best service through your insights. You can be targeting the wrong market. That's a big thing that a lot of people and companies face. I have clients that when they came to me, they were targeting the wrong audience, and as soon as they looked at their insights and figured out who their audience was, they shifted, and now they're selling out. Because that's what's important. You have to follow your insights. You have to determine your insights. And this is the other thing is like, you don't have to be a billionaire. If you're following your insights, that's why companies that make $0 sometimes get the largest investments, because it doesn't matter that they're not selling out. What matters is that their numbers are in position to sell out, that they're in position to scale, that they're in position to do all the things that they're trying to do. The problem is sometimes is money. The problem is sometimes is something else. But your insights to tell you what the problem is too. Your insights tell you whether it's your product that they're uninterested in or the audience that you're targeting. Our insights is what told us what locations we target and why we target those locations and what locations we're not targeting and why we're not targeting those locations. Insights, and what people don't understand is you don't only need to track the insights for your company. You need to track insights for cities and states and provinces and countries, because all of those insights matter too. They tell you who you're targeting, and like if your target market doesn't live in Toronto or doesn't live in New York, and that's the locations you're targeting, you're wasting your time. And the insights for New York and Toronto, and then paired with your company's insights, will tell you whether you need to target New York, whether you need to be targeting Toronto, or whether you need to shift your view. You know what I mean? If you're selling mountain climbing gear, targeting Toronto, if there's like, let's say 0 out of every 10 people in Toronto are engaged in mountain climbing, but you're selling mountain climbing gear and you're targeting Toronto, the insights for Toronto would tell you, and your own insights would tell you that that's stupid. But let's say your insights, you're getting views from Utah, and then the Utah insights tell you that 9 out of 10 people in Utah mountain climb. Then there's a target audience. There's who the location, the demographic you should be targeting. Now you know. If you're targeting 75 to 95-year-olds, and the insights tell you that 75 to 95-year-olds do not climb mountains, but they tell you that families and people between the age of 20 to 45 climb mountains, and people with families aged 30 to 45 climb mountains, then that tells you who your demographic and your target market are. Now you know who to target. Now you know what location to use. Now you know what age demographics to use. Now you know what gender demographics to use. All of those things tell you how to steer your company. So, like, there's a lot that goes into running a business. There's a lot that goes into running a company. There's a lot that goes into starting a business and to maintaining that business. But one of the biggest and most essential things, if you're doing nothing else, and you're doing nothing else correctly, is to correctly manage, oversee, and track your insights. Let your insights steer your company. You cannot run a company without a steering wheel. You cannot run a company without a lookout post. You cannot run a company without your insights. You need your insights. The largest companies track things. That's how they're able to continue to grow. That's what tells Walmart where they're going to launch their next location and what location they're going to shut down. That's what tells Starbucks which out of the several locations they shut down over the pandemic they should shut down. It was the numbers. It was the insights. That's why Russia is losing the war in Ukraine. Okay, because they're not looking at the numbers. They're not looking at the insights. They're not looking at the realities. They're looking at the delusions. And you cannot run a company successfully off of delusions. You cannot start a business off of delusions. You can maybe you can start a business off of delusion, but you can't keep it and maintain it off of delusions. And that's one of the other ways that we've been able to stay debt-free and debt-low is by maintaining our insights, watching our insights, not just being delusional. That's how we were able to know that the first line of products we put out were the stupidest products we could have ever put out, and why they didn't sell anything, and why nobody was interested. And that's how we were able to tell which designs to go for. I will never forget when we put out this 2023 line, people called me and said, I hate this line, or this is stupid, this is disgusting. And I'm looking at the insights and I'm like, well, the numbers say otherwise, love. The numbers are telling me that you're stupid. But if I wasn't tracking the numbers and somebody called me and said that to me, I might have taken down the products that are doing the best. I might have taken down the products that are selling out. That's why you tracking your insights is important. You know, if you listen, I'm the type of person where I don't listen to anybody else, but I don't listen to anybody else because I'm too busy listening to facts. Okay, I'm too busy listening to reality to listen to delusion, right? So I'm not just talking out of the backside of my head. I'm really looking at realities. You know, so that's the thing you have to be doing. You can't just talk out your ass. You have to really monitor and manage. You have to really look at insights. You have to really look at the numbers, and not live in delusional world, but live in a reality. And that's how you do that. That's how you live in reality. That's how you live in facts. Monitor your insights, manage your insights, track your insights. Let your insights tell you how to steer a company. I talk to people all the time who say, I don't know how to lead my company. I don't know how to be the entrepreneur. I don't know how to be the CEO. I don't know how to be the business owner. If you don't know how to be the business owner, then one of the most essential things for you to do is to monitor your insights, because that will tell you how to lead your business. So if there's anything I can tell you, and the biggest business tip I can tell you in your lifetime, is to monitor your insights. So if there's anything else you're going to do, monitor your insights, track your insights, let your insights tell you where to go. And that's all for today. And if you want to stay connected to our company so that we can continue to help you, we can continue to help you to grow. One of the biggest things you're gonna do, and the biggest decisions you're gonna make, so that your company continues to grow and you continue to figure out how to manage your company, and that we can partner with you in doing that, is to join the ULH network. But if you're weary or if you're not sure, go follow us on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, or Reddit, and stay connected, so that way you can see whether we really know what we're talking about, whether we're just talking out our ass. But definitely stay connected, get connected to the hub, make sure that you're connected to the hub of innovation, so that way we can help you, that you can grow. And the next episode that we come out of this Business Tips podcast, you'll be able to stay connected. And I think we'll do this. I think that we'll literally start a weekly podcast. It'll come out maybe every Monday or something. And we'll call it the ULH Business Tips podcast. And this podcast, you'll come once a week, and we'll go over a tip. And this week's tip is insights. Next week, we'll talk about what to look for in terms of social media and advertising to decide what app to use, so that you can decide what app you're going to use when you start out. So check us out, urbanlinehub.ca. Follow us at Urban Line Hub Official on Instagram, TikTok, and Reddit. And check us out on Twitter at Urban Line Hub. Stay awesome, stay vibes, and listen, check your insights.